Hello everyone, welcome to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to give you my review of Stranger Things Season 3. Now, Stranger Things has become, by most accounts, a pretty phenomenal show. It's a phenomenon. It's in the same category with, I'd say, probably like Game of Thrones and things of that nature, where everyone's heard of this show. Everyone's heard of it. Maybe not everyone watches it, but everyone's heard of it. Everyone's heard of it. And if you're into science fiction horror, 80s nostalgia, coming of age stuff, this has it all for you. Stranger Things Season 1 was some of the best television, streaming service, whatever, but television on the planet. One of the most iconic and most relevant shows of, the last 10 years. Honestly, it reinvigorated the whole 80s nostalgia and the whole nostalgia period, because we're getting a lot of movies nowadays. You're getting remakes of movies that took place in the 80s and like whatnot. You got like It and stuff, but that really got kicked off really by Stranger Things. Stranger Things reinvigorated people's desire for nostalgic 80s/70s things. And from the kids playing D&D, from the just the whole science fiction vibe of Stranger Things. The first season was damn near perfect. So season 2 was still a strong and good season. Season 2 could easily be the best season of other shows, but season 2 was sort of a step back and a step up. Like, it was weird because season 2 did this thing where things that people complain about, which someone else has pointed out, other YouTubers are pointing out too, is that the guys who wrote and direct. I don't know if they direct, but I know they wrote Stranger Things. The Duffer Brothers, another group of brothers. Like, good lord, like right now, that's a huge thing going on. It's like 2 people working on stuff. Got the Russo brothers, got Marcus and McFeely, got Miller and Lord, the guys who did the first Lego movie and 22 Jump Street and 21 Jump Street, and Spider-Verse. So like right now, duo directing and duo writing teams is a thing. And the Duffer Brothers, they created this. Now, there was a bit of controversy behind the actual legitimacy of this being their original idea, but I'm pretty sure they cleared that up. As much money as Stranger Things is making in merchandising and just for Netflix in general, I'm sure they paid off whoever guy was trying to argue that he had came up with the idea first, because I haven't heard about it since. But the Duffer Brothers, they do great work at improving upon or listening to the audiences and making certain characters better, because they keep giving other characters expanded roles, except Season 3, which I'm going to get into in a second, I would say is stronger than Season 2. It's a lot better. I think it's a lot better than Season 2. Season 3 is closer to Season 1 than Season 2. I don't think it's as good as Season 1. I think Season 1 had a stronger through line. It had the mystery of it. The unknowing. 11 and Millie Bobby Brown's performance as 11 was a bit stronger in season, because she had to play so much emotion. The kids were a lot more fun because they hadn't been through as much. Like, Season 1 was still the stronger season. It had the better villain. It had the better through line. It had the swerve with Steve. Some of the most iconic moments are in Season 3. Season 1. So I'd say Season 1 is still the best season, and I'd probably give Season 1 like a 9.5 to a 10. Season 2 was a good sequel, but Season 3 is a return to form. I'd compare Season 3 to like Daredevil Season 3, where I still think Daredevil Season 1 is the best season of Daredevil, but Daredevil Season 3 is a return to form. It's like, okay, we're back in form. Because Season 2 was like, you could do better than that. That was still good. It was still good. I still enjoyed it. It was still a great season. It just wasn't as great as Season 1. This is, okay, yeah, this is almost as great as Season 1. Season 3, to me, though, it had some problems. And it had a litany of problems that I thought about over these past few days, because I pretty much binged it like 2 days ago. And I've been thinking on it for a while. And the reason I say Season 3 isn't as good as Season 1 is because it has a litany of problems. I'm gonna start off with I'm just get my problems out the way before I give you the goods and my overall rating. But I have a problem with Joyce. Joyce in season 1 and 2 made logical sense why she was so over the top and so hysteric. This is a mother whose son's missing in season 1. Makes perfect sense why she is the way she is. Season 2, this is a mother whose son's got some thing inside of him and is basically haunting her son under her roof. Makes sense why she's hysterical. This season, nothing's coming after her son. Well, something's coming after her son, but that's only because her son is in such close proximity to Elle. But nothing is coming after her son. And she's still acting like this wacky, crazed woman who can't just sit down and tell people what she's thinking. And she doesn't have this self-awareness to just... like, at first, it was funny, the way they did it, because they kind of played it up for comedy, the way she's acting. But eventually, it started graying on me, her acting so over the top all the time, her ridiculous reactions to everything. And it started to just become, like, she'd get in arguments with Hopper, and I'd just be like... Bitch, you do not know what you're talking about. And like, she'd just coincidentally be right. She wouldn't be right because she knew she was right. She'd be right because she just coincidentally was right. And that's something that didn't really work for me either, is the whole will they won't they of Harper. That is also something that started off as pretty cute and pretty entertaining, is the whole, that there's this thing between Joyce and Hopper, and it's, will they won't they're playing up the classic, trope. And it's nothing wrong with that. It was fun. It was fun for about the first 4 episodes, but they just kept on doing it, and it just kept on getting sillier and sillier and sillier. And then they had to do the thing where someone points out the obvious, where another character points out the obvious flirtation between them two. And it was just like, dude, this is ridiculous. You two are fucking adults, man. Like why are you guys acting like children? And they wouldn't stop. And like I said, at first it didn't bother me, but when you do that over time, there's only so long you can do that before you have to at least try to make them be a thing. Try, at least push it forward. But they didn't even push it forward. Near the end, like, I'm not going to spoil it, but it never even goes anywhere further. Like, it goes a little bit further, but who knows, you know what I mean? So I was just like, this is just a little bit much. Also, Mike is irrelevant. Mike has been relegated to male love interest. That is it. That is the only thing Mike brings to the table now. He has no arc. He has no anything. His arc is the sort of arc he has not feeling like he has ownership of Elle, which is pretty wrapped up in the first few episodes. So it's like after that, Mike has nothing. Mike has nothing to do. I think his name's Mitch. Mitch has nothing to do. Mitch is just there. There are characters who are literally just there. Now, my favorite characters are still here, which is my boy Dustin and my boy Steve, which they are great together. I love Steve. Dustin is my favorite character on the entire show because he's a nerd, but he is so comfortable in his skin of being a nerd. And when you see the actual kid in real life, and like on interviews and stuff in real life, he really is like that. It's barely acting, really. That is the kid, just like, in a different situation, in a different time period, because that is that kid. Like, Dustin is this boisterous, like, just like hyperactive kid who honestly, like, he really is the most entertaining kid of the bunch. That's not a coincidence that he's the one getting commercials, that he's the one who gets pulled on Family Matter and stuff, because Dustin, the kid who plays Dustin, I believe his name is not Caleb, his name's like I can't remember his name off the top of my head, like Gabe. Yeah, I think his name's Gabe. The kid's entertaining. Now, all the kids are entertaining, are really good actors and entertaining, but Dustin is great. He's great in this. Him and Steve Harrington is one of the greatest written characters I've ever seen. Started off as a bully. Like, that's a hell of a twist to do. Is that trick your audience. Because you've seen this a billion times in movies with teenagers. Oh, he's the bully. He's the jock. He's the most popular kid in school. But then something snapped in place and he went, I don't want to be that. And he became a good guy. And sure, he lost. And like literally, and ever since, the thing that makes him the most badass character like from a written standpoint, is the fact that ever since he decided to be a good person, nothing but bad shit has happened to him. He lost his title as the top kid in school, got his ass kicked twice. He lost his girlfriend. He didn't even get to go to college. He's that in the current season 3. He's working at an ice cream shop. The girls who used to swoon over him are making fun of him and don't even give him a time of the day. Like his only friends are children. Everything went to hell for him, man. Every time he tries to be a good person. Like in season 2, I thought that was fucking amazing too, because I just knew once damn it, I always forget her name. Once his girlfriend left him for Mitch, I was like, oh well, he's gonna turn bad. He's gonna be angry that she left him for him, and he's gonna turn bad. No, and he took it in stride. He said, as long as you're happy, I'm cool, and he just let it go. He is so mature for like to those reactions. I don't know if I could be as strong as him. I don't know if I could give up being the most popular kid in school to do the right thing. I don't know if I could be completely cool with my girlfriend leaving me for some other dude and leaving me high and dry. I don't know if I could be cool with getting my ass kicked while doing these things. Like literally nothing has turned out good for this dude. And yet till the end of this season, from the beginning to the end of this season, he is just taking it all and he's just taking it all, man. I ain't never seen a character eat more shit and do it with a smile than Steve. But he's a tough son of a bitch, man. Steve's a tough son of a bitch. And he actually gets to knock somebody's ass out in this season, which was like, thank you. At least you got him to do that. There's another twist in the back end of this season that just once again makes him the MVP to me. There's something that happens later on, and I was just like, yep, Steve's badass. Steve's just the MVP. Now, I will say Lucas's sister was kind of... she was funny, but then she kind of got annoying because she just did that, you know that you've seen it in fucking movies, the little sassy black girl thing where she's just talking shit and everyone just goes, oh no, she's a little girl and she's cursing. It's like this amazing thing. It's like, dude, come on, man. It wasn't that big of a deal, but they just played it up so hard. I wish she would have took a step back just a little bit. Because she is a little girl in this insane situation. But, it is what it is. I like Lucas too. That was another disappointment is Lucas and Dustin didn't get to have any screen time together. Because to me, Lucas and Dustin are the only normal kids. Because Mike's just, he's just a love interest. Mike's just a love interest, and there's nothing else, and honestly, there's nothing else to Mike other than what's going on with his sister and his mom. What's his face? God damn it! How am I forgetting all these kids' names? But the one where Joyce's son, the one who got put in the Upside Down, he's going through. I do like the story they're doing with him in the background where he's still traumatized from the events of seasons 1 and 2, and he's more traumatized than anyone, other than maybe 11, but he's more traumatized than anyone because of the shit he's been through. So there's this little through line in the background of him growing up later than the rest of them because he basically had 2 years of his life ruined. He's basically lost 2 years of his life. So he's obviously having a hard time adjusting to just growing up. He's like, I just want to stay a kid, man. I don't want to fucking grow up. Man, fuck that shit, man. I don't care about girls, man. I want to sit here. I want to play a video game. I'm going to play games. I don't even want to worry about that other shit while Lucas and whatnot. But Lucas is hilarious. Him and Max, they don't have a lot to do. They don't really have an arc at all, but they're entertaining. Him and Max are entertaining. They, they're kind of the love guru to Elle and Mike, and when they have these conversations with about boys and about girls. But to me, I miss Lucas and Dustin because Lucas is just as nerdy as Dustin, except he's real. Except he keeps Lucas and Dustin are the only two characters on the entire show who feel like actual people. Everyone else feels like characters, greatly written characters, but Lucas and Dustin are the only two who feel like, yep, I probably hung out with a kid like that, or yep, I probably met a kid like that. The other ones kind of feel weird, and they feel like, they're specific to the Stranger Things world, and it's like, okay, you would never meet someone quite like this outside of, this world. But Lucas and Dustin are the only two who feel real. It's why I love it when they're together. In season 1 and season 2, I love when Lucas and Dustin are together because they just have the best banter. They do. They have the best banter, other than, Dustin and Steve. But Lucas and Dustin have the best banter. But they introduce a new character. Man, how am I forgetting her name too? They introduced a new character who's working in the ice cream shop with Steve. She's pretty funny too. She's a nice foil to Steve, someone to bust Steve's balls, someone who really just keeps someone who's just, she's really there to be an outsider looking in, and also there to keep reminding Steve of how far he's fallen. To just keep reminding Steve that, man, you ain't shit. Remember when you used to be the most popular kid in school and everyone would talk about your hair and shit? You ain't shit no more. Like, honestly, that is what she's there to do, and she does it very well. But overall, this season, I mean, Hopper has a little thing going on. Hopper has the stereotypical thing with the dad not wanting to talk. He had a whole funny bit about it. But overall, I'd have to say I'd give Stranger Things Season 3 an 8.5 to a 9. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great return to form. There are certain things that did bother me. There are certain things like the fact that Mike is relegated to nothing more than the male love interest. There's nothing else to him outside of his, male love interest habits. Joyce became just completely irritating, fucking, like, Lucas's sister started to grind on me. I was a bit sad that you didn't really get to see Dustin with the rest of the crew through the course of the show, because Dustin just brings so much life. And I noticed Dustin not being with the rest of the crew because Dustin just brings so much life to the crew. He's that character. He's that character that just brings a spark to the conversation with the rest of the crew. When he's not around, you could tell. Like, I could tell Dustin wasn't there. And Max really didn't have too much to do either. They were really just there. Nancy and Mitch really weren't doing too. Like, Nancy had something going on. By the way, the whole thing with Nancy was a little bit irritating too, because sure, she turned out to be right about what she thought was happening, but really that's just coincidental. She really didn't actually do her research. She just really ran off of a gut feeling. She really didn't do her research. She really didn't, find her proof. She really just got lucky that she got right. And they kind of played that up. And someone else pointed out that the misogynistic pigs at the newspaper place, they were really played over the top, when in actuality, I'm like, oh, come on, you guys. You could have been a little bit subtle about that. So there are a lot of things in Stranger Things Season 3 that I didn't like. But overall, I love the characters so much. I still love the story. They introduced the Russians. They introduced this almost Russian Terminator-like guy, even though he had no character whatsoever either. There wasn't nothing interesting about him. They introduced a great character named Alexei. Funny as hell. There are some funny bits. There's some great stuff. David Harper is great, even though, like I said, sometimes he can be a little over the top, like an over the top version of himself. Well, I didn't mind his over the top version because he's actually expressing why he's all fucked up. But, like, I don't know. Like, there were things about this season that bothered me, but overall, I still had a great time. I'm gonna give it 8.5 to a 9. I don't think it's as good as season 1. I don't think it's really as close as good as season 1. I think season 1 gave all the characters something to do. All the characters had a niche, and everything kind of molded together. It made sense why David Harbour acted the way he did. It made sense why Joyce acted the way he did. It made sense why Mitch had something to do. Nancy had something to do. Lucas's sister was just sprinkled in as a, bonus in the background. Like, everyone had something to do, and everyone had something that was weighing on them. Even in season 2, even though I didn't think season 2 was as good as season 3, but even in season 2, everyone had something going on. They don't have it. Like, there are characters who flat out have nothing going on. There are characters who flat out don't even need to be there. So, and that kind of bothered me a bit, like, about this season. Like, that there's just, some things are just played up to move the story forward. It's the first time, I think someone brought it up, it felt like the Duffer Brothers weren't planning on making this season, and they got together in a room for a year, like, because they took that year off. They never took a year off before when they did Stranger Things 1, boom, Stranger Things 2, boom, and then they took a year off. Feels to me like the Duffer Brothers actually didn't have an idea what they wanted to do with season 3, so they had to come together and just come up with an idea of what they wanted to do and then film it. Because seasons 1 and 2 felt, as much as, they had their problems, as much as season 2 had its problems, it did feel like an extension. It did feel like a progress. It felt like a logical progression of season 1. But this one just feels like a leap. it feels like a leap in logic. It feels like out of nowhere the Russians show up, and there's no mention of the Russians. There is no tease of the Russians. There's nothing of the Russians. Just the Russians just randomly show up. Like I said, this season feels like they just had to come up with this shit. This season feels like Netflix came to the Duffer Brothers and said, "Look, we need more seasons. This is our best show. This is the best show we got going. So give us something." That's what it felt like to me. I don't know what it felt like to you guys. But even through all that, I still had a blast watching it. I ended up binging it. Once I got going, I still enjoyed it. But, there's still aspects of it that I can't ignore, man. You know what? I'm just going to stick with the 8.5. I'm not going to give it the 9 because I'm going to just stick with the 8.5. I gave season 2 like an 8. I would give this an 8.5. Like, it's not as good as season 1, but it's still a great season. Like that's the thing. Measuring this to the next thing, it's like really like it's still an 8.5. That's still great. That's still a great score. There was things about this season that I just couldn't ignore. They just bothered the fuck out of me. So thank you for joining me on the Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like and subscribe. And what did you think about Stranger Things season 3? Did you love it? Do you think it's better than season 1? Or do you agree with me where you thought it was great, but it had a lot of problems that you just could not ignore? Because this season had a lot of problems that I just could not ignore. That I couldn't get past. It just bothered me a bit. So thank you for joining me on the Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.